Final Fantasy XVI has had a massive information reveal, so much so that it's actually hard to keep up with all the details that have just come out. And to make matters more complicated, they've all come out across different interviews. So you'll want to hit the subscribe button as I'm compiling all the most important information into these videos. Starting with the fact that Kazutoyo Mihiro, the lead writer of the game, stated that their project started with a focus on icons. And by asking the question, if there was a world where icons actually existed, what kind of world would that be? With them saying it would have to be a world where it would be natural to see a giant summon with your own eyes, and it would have a corresponding history. From there, Mihiro said that he started by creating a world map, then building environments, the flow of the winds and rivers, the ocean currents, and the placement of the cities, with that as his base. He then added other iconic elements from the Final Fantasy series, such as crystals. From there, he created a narrative that would always keep Clive, the player's avatar, at its nexus. Mihiro also notes here that he really wants Clive to feel like the protagonist, not just one character among multiple storylines. This is something that they've talked about across multiple interviews here. Clive is the main focus of the story, and the developers on the game feel quite confident he's a great protagonist. With Mihiro saying, quote, "My favorite character would have to be the main character, Clive. Of all the characters I've written thus far, he's really the character I poured the most feeling into. So much so, I'm not sure I'll ever be able to write a better character. There are actually lots of characters in the game that I really like, but can't talk about at this point. If I have another interview opportunity after the game has been released, I'll mention them in my answers. This also means that there's many great FF16 characters that we've yet to meet. But more importantly, that is an extreme level of confidence about Clive. The fact that he feels that he may never be able to write a character better than this one shows that this might be the best protagonist that the series has had since Cloud Strife." The game's producer, Naoki Yoshida, also notes that Clive is his favorite character as well, and that the whole development team is behind pushing Clive forward with all their might, shining a spotlight on him and giving weight to his words. Hiroshi Takai's favorite character is a character that hasn't even been announced yet, but apparently his name is Byron, and he appears partway through the story. Takai says he should be announced in future promotional material, and he hopes that you look forward to meeting him. The game is also set to feature a strong, prominent heroine. While who this isn't confirmed yet, it's largely speculated to be Jill Warwick. She is said to be strong yet flawed, brave yet full of doubt, and her relationship with Clive affects him in ways that reverberate throughout his arc. Whether relationship here means romantic relationship or platonic one, that remains to be seen. Now with Final Fantasy XV, that was a game that went through numerous story changes throughout the course of its development. Entire characters created, deleted, even the original main heroine of the game was completely deleted from the script of the final game and replaced with another girl entirely. This is not the case with Final Fantasy XVI, as the main scenario writer says that there haven't been any major changes from the very first draft of the story, meaning that they've written something here that they are extremely confident about. And as Yoshida has said previously, they didn't even want to begin production on the game until they had locked down a story that they were very confident in. Now let's answer a question that many of you have been asking since this game was first announced. How linear is it? Director Takai responded with this, saying, quote, "The part that we call the main story is a rich, expansive narrative that moves forward without any branching points. However, there are lots of side stories interspersed around the main story. These side stories give a lot of insight into the lore and show different sides to the characters. The areas themselves are of varying sizes, some smaller and some larger. There are also field areas of around 2 square kilometers, that's 1.24 miles for Americans, containing settlements and other features within them. As you progress through the story, you'll also encounter quite a good number of areas called stages. Although you can walk fairly freely around the field areas, it's not like you need to really pour your energy into exploration to avoid the game becoming difficult to progress with later on. In each area, we've included places to gather resources, search for strong enemies called elite marks, and situations that Clive will need to overcome whilst the powers he's obtained from the icons are restricted restricted, so it's not a game that you can finish in its entirety by only following the main story. I think this sounds like really great news. It sounds like they're going back to the wide linearity formula of classic Final Fantasy games. While the story itself is a linear progression, there are plenty of opportunities to explore, and exploration is not really required in order to progress to the next point. You can technically get through the game without discovering any of its secrets. However, if you do, you'll be rewarded and become much more powerful. The field areas will allow players to explore a very vast zone, and at many points get the feeling of an open world game's freedom without having to fully commit to paying the open world game tax. To me, this really sounds like they're on track. Let's talk about another thing I know you guys are dying to hear about: party members. With director Takai saying, quote, "One element I would like people to pay attention to is the party members who fight alongside Clive. In the story, various friends appear in turn and accompany Clive. They participate in battles in a fully automatic manner. In this game, we decided not to bother with the player management of characters other than Clive, so we eliminated all elements that require detailed action settings and let the AI take the most appropriate action. In addition, there is a buddy named Torgal who always fights alongside Clive, which will be explained in more detail in the future." Now, some people are going to be disappointed with that, but personally, I'm okay with it. I feel like there are too many action RPGs where all I'm doing is babysitting party members. And as I've said before, Final Fantasy VII Remake does the best job of making sure that this isn't the case. But even still, there are numerous situations where characters will stand in AoEs and take damage when they'd be playing way better if I was the one controlling them. So removing the need to micromanage, have to heal them, manage their attacks, etc. Focusing combat on my actions and how I choose to play is going to make combat feel a lot more rewarding. Additionally, you're still going to have those party members fighting alongside you. It just won't be your responsibility when they decide to run in front of an attack. If you want a buddy party member that you can control, you'll have your faithful dog Torgal, and the system of controlling him is called the buddy system. Yoshi P saying, quote, "The buddy can be toggled between fully automated actions and a certain amount of manual commands. In the manual mode, you'll be able to give him instructions such as choose from several attack actions or heal. We call them buddies because they are the only characters that are special. Other than that, they are fully automatic party members. I'm under the impression that this is going to function something like Atreus in God of War, and everyone else will function more like guest party members. In addition, there is something I want to amend about last video regarding New Game Plus. Everything that was said in that video is true, in which all of your equipment, levels, abilities, etc. transfer over, where you will encounter higher level enemies from the very start of the game. This functions exactly like Final Fantasy VII Remake's hard mode. However, in addition to this, there's also a second New Game Plus that unlocks, and this difficulty is even more brutal, because in this difficulty you are fixed at level 1 and do not level up throughout the course of the game. This is going to be an utterly brutal mode that only the most skilled players are going to want to take on, and I genuinely hope you guys look forward to me cracking my DualSense 5 in half. Shout out to Kyle Rome and the rest of the Ultima community.